So when I was considering doing my hair transplant, I'm like Googling like everything. I just research everything constantly. I just am on my phone, scroll holing it all day long. Like, what can I see? What can I read? I love pictures. So I'm like looking for pictures of people and there's like nothing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, it's all guys everywhere. And they look great. Like, don't get me wrong, they look awesome. But it was kind of disappointing that I didn't see like more women out there
Posting their results.
Yeah, exactly.
Showing their face, showing what they've
Yeah.
done.
And so then I wonder, like, is it because they don't know that they can do it? Is it because they are, shy? Like, what are they doing? Like, plastic surgery, cosmetic procedures, like, they're everywhere. Like, you go on Instagram and it's like BBL, breast implants. Like, we're doing everything to ourselves. Like, so why is hair like the one thing that we're not talking about?
I think it's, from my point of view, I think it's that women are born with all this hair and we identify ourselves by like how our hair looks. Like if I'm having a good hair day, like I'm like, okay, I'm going to rock this today.
Yes.
If I'm not, then I feel a little bit down. So I think that there's a little bit of shame involved. Like they feel like something's going on, that they've lost their hair or they've done something wrong or they didn't do something right, that, they're maybe finally going out there to do it, but they don't want to share those results.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely feel like if I'm not having a good hair day, like everything else is
like, crap, now my makeup looks terrible. Or my outfit choice, I've gone through 10 different outfits and still not looking good. So
100%. Like there was one time that I was trying to go blonde. Like I wanted to be blonde so bad. She over processed my hair. I don't even know, honestly, but basically my hair all fell off and I didn't have any hair. And I mean, maybe it was like an inch short or whatever. I remember at that time in my life doing my makeup, and at the end of it, I would be like, I still don't look right. Like, something is missing. Something is off.
Yeah.
And so then I ended up wearing wigs for like 2 years, like while my hair was growing out, because it's that big of a deal. And I think we like to, we want to be confident. We want to be strong. We want to, pretend that those insecurities don't exist.
Yeah,
but
they're not there.
but
we don't recognize them. We're not playing into them, but we do. So No, I believe that. I think we need to get more women involved in the hair transplant world. So I think, seeing ourselves on social media more, the Zooms that, since COVID, really just being at home, being by ourselves, seeing ourselves more, like hopefully more women are going to go out there and explore hair transplants.
Yeah, for sure.
The results are beautiful.
Yes,
they really are. And they change that life. They change that appearance. Whether it's working on that frontal hairline, whether it's adding to the front top, whatever it is. Even if your sides are you're not as happy with those sides. Having 2 children, naturally, then I breastfed. I lost all those nutrients. My hair didn't come back as thick. And so I worked with Dr. Simmons here, and talked about maybe doing some PRP because I wanted to be able to thicken that hair up as well.
I think also that we forget that, this is a cosmetic thing and there are other reasons for doing hair transplants besides just hair loss. Like, I mean, I think that's a really big and important one, but there's also instances in which like you can reduce the size of your forehead or you can change the shape of your face. Like that plays a really big part into how you look and alongside with like injectables and facelifts and all of that stuff. Like you can contour your face with your hair too. Yeah. Like it's very interesting.
I love eyebrows. Why? I think they're so cool. You can choose whatever shape you want, as long as your physician approves it.
Right.
But I have. Everybody says that they like my eyebrows. I am not a fan of them. I'm like, I want more. So I'm actually wanting to add more to mine, or just tuck into the tails or whatever to lengthen those.
More people would do it, I think, if they knew that it was available.
Right.
I think there are other like temporary options that are being chosen over that, like the microblading and the tattooing and stuff. But I mean, when you get close to somebody, like
and it's not really the results that they are going to want. It ends up fading.
Yes.
It doesn't look as natural as you're actually putting the hair in there, and you can shape them however you want. If they go thicker, then like you said, we can shape them down, we can thin them out.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the eyebrow patients that I have met with, like they have had the microblading or the tattoo or whatever,
and then they go over
and then it's not enough.
No,
they're
it's
like,
not enough.
I need
they
the
want
hair.
the density. Yeah, they want the
so
density.
Why not
of the
just skip it and just get the hair?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you're gonna be investing into it. Like, let's do it right.
I agree, because it ends up changing like the shape of their face, what they look like, how they feel, and then that's just the next level of confidence is there.
So I actually have not ever seen like an eyebrow be done. Have you seen that?
Yeah, and I've actually been in the surgery and did it with Dr. Simmons. Eyebrows are incredible. We take the hair from the back of the ear because that's typically where we see that finer hair at.
Yeah.
And they remove it the same way they would an FUT when they take a section of tissue out. And then we suture that closed. We take that little section and we individually harvest down to 1 follicular unit grafts.
All one.
All one hairs. Yep.
Okay.
And then Dr. Simmons, he typically asks the patients to kind of come in with their evening makeup on, how they like their eyebrows to be drawn on nice and thick. And then he will utilize a surgical pen to kind of mark out that area, and they kind of create that together. Really make sure that we're getting the full thickness. And like we said, we usually like to say, let's go more on surgery day, because you can pluck them out, you can shape them down, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
And then once he draws those on and we have those one hairs all trimmed down, then he uses his angled incision maker, and he just makes all the incisions one by one. He starts typically on the inwards, and then he works out to the tail.
Yeah.
He'll show the patient what it kind of looks like, that rough drawing, once he gets all those sites inside. And then the clinical team puts those hairs in one by one by one.
That is so cool.
Yeah. Once they're all done, then we show the patient again, and we typically make some little tweaks.
Oh, yeah.
Add a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because they want to be, the best that they can possibly be.
For sure.
And then in about 3 days, they really start to fluff off. And then in about 7 to 10 days they're pretty much back to where they normally were. And then the hair starts growing in.
And I guess the nice thing is, like, when they're in the shedding process, we have like pencils and stuff.
Yeah,
so
to fill in.
you're not going to be eyebrowless for that period of time. Like, you can do things to kind of supplement that while it's coming in. But how exciting is that? Like, every day your eyebrows get like a little bit thicker.
Yeah. And then you can just kind of do whatever you want with them, and you can shape them. We typically tell them to use like eyebrow wax or mustache wax to try to shape them and get exactly what the look they're looking for.
Sure.
So, yeah. I'm so excited, Brittany. It's going to be incredible for you to have like that full thickness again, because I like to wear my hair how you showed me in that picture, where she has her hair up and she's got it swooped to the side. But sometimes we can't do that when us women have that thinner hair that breaks off right here in the front.
I feel like I've gotten like, I use the laser cap. I use the Rogaine. I don't take finasteride because of my age and everything. So I feel like I've done everything that I can to stop it, to stabilize it. And, sometimes that's just not enough. Like, we want to try to get it as close to what it was before. And I really am just like craving, like, in the summer, like, I want to put my hair up. I don't always like my hair in my face. And I've gotten to this point where I pretty much style my hair a specific way in order to cover that area because I just can't stand it. Like, from the front, it looks fine, I guess. But then whenever I see like side angles or other pictures, like, it's really a point of, like, honestly, it's just straight up insecurity. Like, I hate it. It makes me uncomfortable. I don't like it. I don't want anybody to look at it. I don't want anyone to see it or touch it or mention anything about it.
Well, it's interesting that you say that you're styling your hair because of, a confidence issue to cover the hair loss. When I talk to patients, or Dr. Simmons and I talk to patients, we talk about how, what's the better method for them? FUT, FUE. Yeah. And I'm like, are you really wearing your hair short because you like it? Yes. Or are you wearing your hair short because you do not like that you're balding on top? Yes. So you're trying to, cover that up a little bit. So that's why you're wearing that shorter look. So it's kind of the same thing. You're covering your hair up by wearing it specifically only down.
Exactly. So, that's exactly the same thing. And I can't tell you how many patients I see their like before picture and their hair is short. Yeah. Like really, really short. Yeah. And then they come back for their 1 year and they've got like this mop head. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, your hair was so short. And they're like, well, now I feel good about having
or they're compensating by wearing facial hair. And they really don't like facial hair. Or they don't want to wear a big facial hair. Yes. But they're doing that to draw the distraction away from their, from their head where they're balding at.
So you see that when they come back for that 1 year and they have the results, like you can see like in their photos, you can see in their eyes, you can see in their smile, like everything about them has dramatically changed. And I'm looking forward to like my moment.
I know, right?
This time next year where I'm like,
just like through the roof
like,
more.
I get my little hair in my slick back ponytail. I'm like that clean girl aesthetic that you see on TikTok or whatever, like, and having like that moment, like that's what I'm most looking forward to. Like, and I know it's a process, but everything's a process. Yeah. Like nothing happens overnight. So
those 1 year photos when patients are coming in and their results, like you talked about, they're coming in and they're just kind of like bleak in their pre-op photos, and then they come in and then they're like, hey, put me out there. Yes. Let me be on your billboard.
Yeah. So seriously.
It's like the best feeling.
Oh my gosh.
I think that's part of the reason that a lot of us have so much tenure with Bosley is because of the results that we have for our patients and the ability to change their lives.
Yeah.
So,
and seeing that like firsthand is part of the reason why I am so excited to do mine, because I've seen so many people come in and have that feeling, and I'm like, I want that.
I want that. I want my feeling. I want my time.
What do you think, like, when you see somebody who's like borderline, like, you know, they don't have much left, but they're still like holding on,
Right, for dear
and
life.
it's like, yes, and it's like obvious that they could shave their head, they could go bald, but they could also do a hair transplant, but they're like in that awkward in between stage,
right?
And you're like, what?
Yeah, like, what are you doing? Make a decision. I think that the most attractive part of a man or a female, depending, is people who have the ability to make a decision. And so make a decision on what you're going to do. Are you going to shave it off and look like The Rock and rock it out? Or are you going to come to Bosley and get a hair transplant?
That's right.
I mean, but I think that if you have the ability to have a hair transplant and get your confidence back, if that's what you want to do, then you should go and do it.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of really hot, like, bald guys out
there.
There is
like bald guys
when you take care of it, right? Like, you're like, okay, this is me. This is what I look like. I'm taking care of this. I'm putting in effort into my appearance and, you know, my aesthetic, my confidence, things like that. Like, I think it takes, you know, a special level of like confidence and decisiveness in a man to decide that, you know, I'm going to shave it off, I'm going to be bald, or maybe they go to a hair club, they get a hair system, maybe they come in and do a transplant. But I think what the most important thing is making that decision, because when
deciding what you're going to do.
Yes, because when somebody's like in that awkward phase where you can tell, like, you know,
they're not quite sure which way to go either.
Yeah, and then I just think of that as like, what else are you going to be indecisive on?
Right.
Like,
our relationship, financials.
You didn't know where to take us out to dinner. Like,
I mean, that's an important one.
You know,
where are you going to take me to dinner?
Yeah,
you know?
It gives off that vibe of like when guys are like, they ask their girlfriend like, oh, when do you want to eat for dinner? And they're like, I don't know. It's like, you know, like, just pick something.
Make the decision.
Yes, because 10 out of 10, if a guy comes to you, you're dating, you're not dating, whatever, and they're like, hey, I made a reservation for dinner at this time, you know, be ready. Woo-wee! Like, I'm going. Like, I'm excited.
100%. I'm excited because you put the effort in. You made a decision.
Yes.
You went through with the plan. Exactly.
And you owned it.
Yep. 100%.
Yeah.
Whether she likes it or not, you made a decision and you put the effort in.
Exactly.
So it's kind of the same thing. It's like, if you are going to make a commitment to something, make a commitment. Whether it's you're going to rock the bald lick or you are going to come in and do a hair transplant and get that hair back. I don't care either way. If you want to be bald, be bald. I'm going to love you. I'm going to be attracted to you. I'm going to be this. But it's all about making that decision.
Yeah, I mean, like, having the confidence and having that decisiveness, like, decisiveness is sexy.
Indecisiveness is not.
Not. Extremely not. Yeah. And I think that's the big, like, point there. Yeah. Like, decisiveness is sexy. Make your decision. We're going to support you either way.
Stand by it.
Yeah.
Own it. Be confident.
That's right.
Don't be indecisive because it's not sexy to us girls.
Not cool.
No.
Ew.
Being bald and not making a decision to do something about it, whether it's rock the bald lick or get a hair transplant, is the same as coming out to dinner with you and I to this fancy restaurant where I'm all dolled up, you're all dolled up, and you come in a nice shirt, a nice pair of pants, and you got dirty shoes on. Ew, right? It's just like you don't take care of yourself. There's no pride there.
Yeah.
So it's important.
Or like when they have that one shirt that the neck is like stretched out.
I could like climb in that shirt.
Yes, that's exactly how it is.
Yeah.
No, it's literally the same thing. Like it gives off the same vibe majorly.
Yeah, that you're just not all well put together, not taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
Not making a decision to clean your shoes or make sure they look right. Like, I'm going to make sure that I'm dolled up for you. My hair's fixed. My makeup's done. My outfit's right. But, you know, take care of your shoes. You have to do less than me. So, you know, come on now. Look at those shoes and clean them before you take me out.
Literally, it takes 2 seconds.
Right. So, you know, Britany, I was thinking about this. You know, I think it's important to have self-care, right? As a man, as a woman, children, adolescents, whatever they may be. So us women, we go to the gym, we work out, we take care of our mental health. guys do the same thing. They go to the gym, but they think that it just kind of stops there. They don't think about like, that their confidence, when they're losing their hair or, their teeth aren't as white as they want to be, or they don't have as big as muscles as they want. So the muscles they go and try to fix by the gym, right? But the self-care goes even deeper with their confidence level when they're balding and they don't want to take care of themselves. So I think that it's important to acknowledge, that they are balding and what we can do, whether that's medical therapy, that's going into Bosley for a hair transplant, or like we talked about, rocking and making that decision and doing the bald look. I don't know. What do you think?
I think, yeah, that maintenance part is really important. Like most people, I feel like try to put in like something, but if you miss one thing, it can ruin the whole thing. Like the dirty shoes. Like you can have the most awesome outfit and then have these dirty, ugly, nasty shoes, and it just ruins everything.
Right.
So when you're thinking about self-care, it's really like all encompassing, like from head to toe. Like, and I think that, men shouldn't feel bad for taking care of themselves. I go to the spa, I get facials, I get massages, I get a pedicure. Like men can do that too. Like, and that's hot. Like, I don't want some scratchy, dirty feet touching me in the bed. Like, go get a pedicure, dude. Like, let's go together. Or go have some bro time, whatever it is that you want to do. Like, I think all of that stuff is super normalized now. Like, I don't think anything about going somewhere and seeing a man having a cosmetic treatment done or something like that. I think that, I applaud them for having the confidence to go and start that conversation.
And take care of themselves for their person, because we are taking care of ourselves for them. And it's not something that, should be categorized as being vain or, looked down upon. It's taking care of yourself to make sure that your mental health, your physical health, your emotional health is all intact.
Yeah, especially when it comes to hair, like you see yourself multiple times every day. When you wake up in the morning, you pass, mirrors and windows. Like, I don't know, I'm always looking at myself. Maybe that's just me, but
No,
I feel like everybody, right? I feel like everybody is like, look, like we all check ourselves out, like, and just imagine, having a change, making a conscious effort to change something and invest in something and take care of it and to see that, and reap the benefits of it every single day. Like every day you wake up and you're like, man, I look good, Everybody deserves that feeling.
Something permanent when they look at each other and just say, you know what, Brittany, you look gorgeous. You look incredible.
Right.
And then for you to feel that way about yourself.
Yeah.
And then for your partner, when they do their transplant, to make themselves feel the same way.
And I think when you take care of yourself, inherently you take care of the people around you. You treat people differently. You care about them differently. You invest in them differently when you start taking care of yourself first.
100%.
It just pours over into every aspect of your life.
Yeah.
So you were talking earlier about like having postpartum hair loss. I think that is really, really common. And I think that people do not know what the hell to do.
Yeah. And they think it's just going to come back. And sometimes it does. And sometimes it doesn't, right? And so for mine, it didn't come back. So I utilized Rogaine 2 times a day. I used our laser therapy, which I love. And then Dr. Simmons is going to do some PRP treatments on me. I'm not at the point where I need to have a hair transplant. Mine's kind of stabilized.
Yeah.
But medical therapy is important. And I think that a lot of women do not understand it, do not feel comfortable to reach out because they're not quite sure what's going on. They think it's just, oh, I'm just tired or I'm exhausted or, my hormones are off. But it's really important, even if, your hormones are off and maybe it will come back, reach out to one of our providers and maybe medical therapy is an option for you. Just remembering you're not alone. Come to the Bosley website, reach out to us, give us a call, and we can help you out.
Yeah, for sure. I think the medical therapy aspect is really a great route to start on. Like especially if you're not like
everybody, right?
Yeah, for everybody. Because even if you're having a hair transplant, odds are like pretty high that you're probably going to be doing the medical therapy anyway to prevent future hair loss. So there's no issue with starting that sooner rather than later. If you're not ready to take the leap and have a hair transplant, like you can do other things in the meantime to at least like stop it so it doesn't get worse, because that's not good. Anyway, like once it's gone, it's gone.
The laser therapy is harmless for everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, we tell everybody to get on it and utilize it. If if a husband is having a procedure and he's using the laser, his wife is more than welcome to share it and use it, or your high school kiddo who's starting to thin or whoever. Get on that product. It's a great product for everybody to maintain your hair.
Yeah.
keep it the healthiest that it can be.
And that was one of the first things that I did too when I started noticing the loss was, I mean, I don't feel like people immediately jump to surgical measures for most things. Like we always want to see, it's like mostly DIY stuff. Like what can I do at home?
Let me Google something.
Yeah, and there's all kinds of wild stuff out there. Like you Google it and everything is so confusing. And then you got people on social media, on Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook or whatever, making some fancy concoction potion juice and putting it on their head and selling it or whatever they're doing. I don't even know. But you know, there are proven solutions that work, but they just get masks and all of this voodoo stuff. Right. So I think that was really confusing for me, like as a patient, like, oh my God, there's so many things. Like you might as well just come in and have the consultation and find out like what's real and what's not. Like I think that
it's actually proven to work to help with your hair loss.
I think in a consultation, like it kind of like clears the smoke screen so you can see, you know, reality. You can see what are the real options, what are the real things that are going to work. And I feel like everybody that I've encountered here, that I've learned from and that I've interacted with doctors and everything really has my best interest in mind. Like I've never felt like anyone was like trying to shove their proprietary blend of whatever down my throat. Like, you know what I mean?
I think that's part of it. We say, even if you are not going to have a transplant, you know, if you're not ready for it, we still want to educate you.
Yes.
We want to stop your hair loss. Yes. We want to be able to give you the best information that we possibly can to help you make a decision on what's best for you.
Right.
And to move forward, whether that's medical therapy now, whether that's a hair transplant, or whether it's a combination of the two. And down the line is when you're ready to be ready for a hair transplant.
For sure, yeah. And I have found like with the medical therapy, I have seen, you know, a general improvement. You know, I have little baby hairs and things like that have kind of sprouted out and grown. But I know that the loss that I had was too far gone at that point to totally restore. But I think it made me feel better to like go through like over a year of testing it to see like what I could do. Because then you kind of see for yourself too, like, you know, this isn't hokey. Like this is like a real thing.
This is actually real.
This is actually yeah. And I haven't noticed any more loss since then. And I would recommend to patients, like if you're coming in, to let us take those pictures so we can monitor it. But I also think it's important to take your own progress pictures because when you see yourself every day, like those little bitty changes you don't really notice. And that is like my one big regret in starting my medical therapy is that I didn't take those pictures. So, I mean, I can tell obviously because I look, you know, I look at those old pictures that I've seen and I see the new hairs coming in, but I wish I would have done like a better job documenting it. But
and it, like you said, it's important seeing sometimes patients come in and they're not, you know, quite sure what the results are quite yet, right? And then you bring them in and you show them those pre-op photos and they're like, wow, I'm like a different person. I forgot how bald I was. People literally say, I forgot how bald I was. And we're like, yeah, it's life-changing. And that's what's nice about it. It's so natural how the progression comes in that if you don't want to tell your sister down the road or your cousin or from, you know, another state, they don't have to because, you know, they may think that you changed your facial hair, you lost weight or something. They're not going to immediately go to, you know, oh, Britany had a hair transplant.
Right.
So,
yeah, exactly. I have had a lot of patients that really fly under the radar with it. Like, you know, there's that recovery period where obviously like, you know, you're gonna know that you had a hair transplant, like the healing process. But I think that, you know, if you can take that time away, like if you're that concerned about it, like this is something that can be done discreetly, but at the same time, like I don't know. I feel like proud of it. I would be like, I have invested in this. Like, look at what I did. Like, I made this decision. I went through this process. Like, I think you definitely get some bragging rights for that.
Yeah. Because decisiveness is sexy.
Because decisiveness is sexy. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So, like, in that decision-making process, like, when you get to the point that you're like, okay, I'm losing my hair, I want to do something, like, what are the 3 things, just 3, that you would recommend that people do? Like, what are your best, like, pro tips? Tell us.
Mine would be, I think, do research first, right? Make a decision on where you're going to go for your hair transplant. Make sure that it's going to be a physician doing that procedure and that they have a guarantee of some sort. I would guarantee that. Then I would recommend medical therapy. through going to that consultation, getting on Rogaine, whatever the doctor suggests for you. And then just make a decision. Actually make that decision, stick to it, and follow through.
I just have one tip, and that's just come in for a consultation.
Yeah. Come see us.
Come see us. So you have actually worked for Bosley for like a long time, right?
Like 14 years.
Holy
it's
smokes.
crazy. It doesn't even seem possible.
Yeah.
So I actually started, I have a really, really cool story.
Okay,
I like to tell my people when they come to work for me. So I started as a medical assistant 14 years ago, which is crazy, here in the Kansas City office. And then I quickly moved up to the office manager. And then I became the regional supervisor, and I've been the regional supervisor for about 8 years. And then I was recently promoted to the director of operations. So it's kind of a crazy little story.
Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. So Bosley's incredible. You've been here with us for a while now.
Yeah.
But we are a true family. We really care about one another. In time of need, people are there. They support you. They believe in you. I mean, look at me. Who would have thought that the medical assistant who started, is now the director of operations?
Right. Yeah.
We believe in our product and what we do. We believe in our patients and treating them right and great customer service. So anybody that's looking for a job, whether it's you have medical background or not, come check us out. It's a pretty interesting career. We train you. You have the opportunity to travel to all of our locations, and we'll pay for your flights, your hotels. We'll give you some money to eat on. You can explore the city at night. And you get to really change people's lives, which is the most important part and the best part of it.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is one of those jobs that kind of took me a little bit for a surprise. Like, I wasn't really looking for a new job.
Yeah.
I just had a friend that had come over, and she's like, hey, this is really great. They're hiring in your location. You should check it out. And I went through the interview process, and I was really surprised with how many people that I talked to that actually seemed super engaged and passionate about what they were doing.
And the tenure. It doesn't blow your mind.
Yes. Everybody I talked to was like 10 plus years. And I was like, okay, that's whatever. That's suspicious, but I'll see what's up.
Let me see what's happening here.
Yeah. So then I started, and I was like, you know what? I kind of get it. And I had gotten to a point where I was like, you think about like your career path and what you're going to do. And the more patients that I meet with, and the more results that I see, and the more knowledge that I have, like, it makes it harder and harder for me to ever consider leaving, because it's such a great environment, and it's so like, it's like emotionally, moving, to see
fulfilling
these patients.
For the soul,
yes, fulfilling. That's exactly the word that I was trying to go for. Like, it's super fulfilling to, meet a patient and help them regain something that causes them so much, stress or confidence loss, like all of that. It's majorly life-changing for them, but it's equally life-changing for me,
To hear some of their stories,
Right.
And then just be like, wow, I impacted their life. We've done this. We've helped change who they are. So.
Yeah.
And we do that for our team members too, from single moms who come to work for us, who just need maybe a part-time job just to get out of the house while their kiddos are in school, or the physician assistant who just graduated and has decided to, change their life and their course and want to do something, to the physicians that are, done being in the emergency room and are ready to just go into aesthetics and change people's lives. We are a full circle working together to create, the best possible results for everybody.
I remember seeing like commercials for Bosley when I was a kid. You stay up late and you're watching TV
Late
at like
TV,
11:30 and your parents are in bed and you're like sitting there like this close to the TV.
With the volume really low because you don't want them to hear you.
Yes, and I remember like watching the Bosley commercials, and I don't know what I even thought Bosley was. Like, I always saw that it was hair, and like there was some guy that was losing his hair, and then in the next slide that he had hair, but I didn't really understand what exactly we were doing until I started working here.
Right.
Like, I didn't realize that, I don't know, maybe I thought it was a hair system or something, like, or that the hair regrew or something like that. I think that's what I really thought.
Magic
like
potion that you put on or something.
Yeah, and I learned that, that hair doesn't just regrow. Like, you can't regrow a dead follicle. So that was really interesting for me to like actually have like the inside scoop of like what we're really doing here.
What's
like
happening here.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a lot more involved. It's a lot more hands-on. Like it doesn't feel like an infomercial, like when you're in the midst of it, like, and seeing like real people every day.
We have a medical assistant that has been here for almost as long as the practice has been operating. Yeah, over 35 years.
Was she hired by Dr. Bosley?
She
Like,
was. She worked
what?
with Dr. Bosley.
Wow.
It's insane to think about, like, you know, that somebody would come here and want to work for us for so long. And I think it's because people truly care here.
Yeah.
You know, we are beside each other, whether it's the good, the bad, the ugly, when times are hard. You know, one of my favorite stories to talk about is, you know, during COVID, you know, our CEO, our VP of operations, our medical director would get on a town hall meeting with the different RSO locations to make sure they felt supported, answer any questions.
Yeah.
Like, make sure that they knew that we were doing everything to get us back into our offices as soon as possible. And, you know, they took care and paid for their medical benefits for everybody for the whole time we were down for shutdown.
Wow.
Which is an incredible, you know, thing that the company did to make sure that our people were taken care of in a time of need.
Yeah.
So
I always tell patients, like, because obviously there's other people that do hair transplants, like we can't deny that.
Right.
But when patients ask me, you know, why should I choose Bosley, I can genuinely say that, you know, nobody cares more about you than we do.
Yeah.
Like everybody that I work with in my office and other offices, like they're passionate about what they do.
Right.
They care about the results. They care about the quality of their work. Like
Yeah.
I don't feel like you're going to get that level anywhere else. Like these are like real people that really care. They're emotionally invested. They're physically invested. Like they are going to work their ass off to make sure that you have an amazing result.
Yeah. A lot of people always ask us, you know, how long is it my procedure, or when am I going to be done? And our answer is when we're done. We're going to take our time and we're going to do it right because we want you to have the best results possible.
Yeah, that's no rushing matter.
No.
Like I had a patient ask that the other day, actually. I said, "Whoa, we can do it fast or we can do it good."
Yeah.
You know, we want to do it good. We're always going to choose to do it good.
I think the culture stemmed from Dr. Bosley. And there's so many people that still work here that worked with him, that they've developed that culture as their own. And then they're passing it on to the people that they hire or the people that they work with. And so it's just really come all the way down from the top when it first started with Dr. Bosley.
I feel like the more people that I meet, the story like kind of unfolds like just a little bit more, like another layer of the onion gets peeled back, and then I'm even more invested than I was before. Like, and it I remember meeting, I think I met a bunch of supervisors in my interview process, and then right after I started, I did a Zoom call with Rob, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, this guy is not the CEO. Like, he's such a chill guy. Like, he's a real person. And
who cares?
Who cares? Yeah. And I think that makes a huge difference. Like, talking to all of these people, like, there was never a time, and still there's never a time where I feel like I meet somebody within our organization that I'm just like,
yeah.
You know, like, everybody's a real person. They're all invested in what they're doing. They're all passionate. And it's interesting, you know, to kind of like, I wish that I could go back and create like the family tree, like starting with Dr. Bosley, and like see who handed off like that baton of knowledge and all of that. So I learn more every single day with more people that I meet that work here. Yeah.
I always tell Rob, like, after I spend time with him, I'm like, you know, I'm so invested in our company and what we do here. But like every time I hang out with him, I feel like I'm even deeper, right? Because he just re-engages you. And I'm like, I don't even know how you can even engage me anymore because I'm already there. But he has such a passion for what we do, and his level of excitement is what I like, because it passes down to every single RSO. And when he comes through it, or Jim comes through it, or Dr. Reshaping or whatever, and we just keep passing it around and getting excited and celebrating, you know, the birth of a child or the engagement. You know, we had our first engagement at Bosley in the Atlanta office. A team member got engaged there, and we had a baby. And, you know, so it's just something's always happening that everybody's excited about.
For sure.
And so we're all celebrating that. And I think that just keeps people really excited about working for Bosley.